Hey, what's up everyone? Jay's 2 Cents here, and I found this article on Forbes. It's actually a couple years old at this point, but it got me really thinking. I want to do a video talking to you about games that could actually be dangerous for your computer. We're not talking about your hardware and like the New World and all these other games reportedly breaking GPUs that we talked about in the past, but I'm talking about actual security risks to your systems that you may not be aware of. So today we're gonna go ahead and talk about them.
For those looking for a high-end custom gaming experience, look no further than Falcon Northwest. Falcon Northwest has been building PCs made for gamers for over 30 years with a focus on a true high-end gaming experience. Custom cases available only through Falcon Northwest feature state-of-the-art testing and design to ensure that every component is performing at their best through thermal imaging and rigorous lab testing designed and overseen by the Falcon Northwest founder himself. With a complete lineup of systems ranging from small to large, every Falcon Northwest system includes a 3-year warranty policy and a year of 2-way overnight shipping coverage, providing the ultimate peace of mind. To see all that Falcon Northwest has to offer, follow the sponsored link in the description below.
So like I mentioned, this is a more than 2-year-old Forbes article. I'm just gonna look at their list. I'm not even gonna talk about or care about what they're talking about. But I want to point this out. There is a little bit of like a conflict of interest on some of these because most of these are being sponsored by like Norton VPN, or they're being sponsored by, or not Norton VPN, they do have a VPN now as part of their suite, but Norton's antivirus or other VPN sites, because they're trying to kind of scare you into buying their services. But there's real things to talk about in these particular titles that I want you to be aware of. And looking at my analytics on my videos recently, I've noticed that my biggest demographic, my most represented demographic at nearly 40% of my viewers is males between the ages of 35 and 44. So that's my age range, and that means you probably have kids like I do that are getting on computers and playing games and stuff. So it gives you some things to think about when it comes to keeping the computer safe and secure, because games have become a very, very lucrative target for scammers, viruses, and phishing attempts and all of that. So let's go ahead and take a look at their list. I think we'll change some of these titles because of age, and we'll talk about some things here. So number 1, Grand Theft Auto 5, and really that should be Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, because that's where most people are playing these days. The single player campaign is like even a completely different executable that launches for the game online, and the standalone single player are separate. But the reason why Grand Theft Auto 5 is even still on this list, and even still relevant, is because of the fact that people play the crap out of it because of mods. Now, mods give a very unique perspective to PC gaming. Mods are one of the biggest allures for people to want to do PC gaming, to be able to modify your game, modify the files, change the way the cars look, the people look. There's realism mods. There's even like mods online where you can do like cops and robber chases and all kinds of stuff that's just custom servers that require certain mods and such to be able to enter and play those games, specifically in Grand Theft Auto 5 Online as well. The problem with this is once you install a mod and you're outside of the realm of the official files for the game that Rockstar is providing, you open yourself up to malware, viruses, or other nefarious things that could be happening in your system without you even knowing, because you can download the mod from whatever repository it's at, and then once you install it, it's playing in the game and everything looks fine, but you have no idea what might have been installed along with that mod, operating completely independent from the game, doing things. In fact, I can't remember which title it was. Maybe if you remember, you can put it down in the comments below. There was a game that was known to actually be doing mining in the background while the game was running. So people would notice that while loading this seemingly not super demanding game, or what shouldn't have been super demanding, was loading their GPUs to like 100%, massive heat output. Even their CPUs were going through the roof, and then their network usage was also going through the roof, because they had created this very nice sort of a ghost mining farm, if you will. So that kind of stuff can even be prevalent in here. But what you're gonna notice right now as we go through these titles is mods is gonna be one of the #1 things that opens a person's PC up to exposure for viruses, malware, and other sorts of breaches, is because of the custom files that are being installed. Minecraft, same exact thing. Minecraft for vanilla that's the gateway Minecraft. People play that and they go, man, I wish this looked better. And then, so there's different kinds of mods with Minecraft. There's story mods where you can have like role play mods, or there's mini games built into servers, or heck, my daughter and I were playing one, I can't remember what it was, but it was like this whole campaign. It was like a massive campaign. I think it was Dungeons, actually. It was a massive campaign where you go and fight bosses and monsters and all this sort of stuff, and you co-op. These are all custom. And when you go to these custom servers, a lot of the times they require that you have certain custom files. So what do? You go and you find these mods and you download them and you install them and you're playing your game. The problem is sometimes what happens is, and this is going to be true for any of these titles that are on this list, is the mod might be the correct mod, but re-uploaded to a spoof site that looks like the official site it's supposed to come from. They're the actual files that are being redistributed unauthorized from the author of those files, but they have a little extra stuff injected into them, if you will. So you download the mod, it's from a site that was not legit, that maybe you didn't realize. The game is working just fine, but there's other stuff working in the background that's stealing your information or potentially even harming your computer with unfathomable amounts of malware. So Counter-Strike Global Offensive, now this is out of date because now Counter-Strike 2 has replaced Global Offensive. That's not so much a modded title. I mean, there are mods. One of the things Counter-Strike and Source, the Source engine was really known for was mods back in the day. One of my favorite mods, actually shout out to this one and hit like if you've ever played this, was back in the original Counter-Strike Source, but it had a Matrix mod, which was really cool, where it was in the lobby with like where the shootout between Neo and Trinity took place with the cops as they're trying to get up to the helicopter to save Morpheus. That whole scene, that whole thing was recreated, and you had really cool power-ups where you could literally hit like a slow motion mod, and everyone else was like stuck slow, but you were moving full speed, and you could do like bullet time warp and all. It was such a fun mod. We were hoping it would turn into a full game. It never did. I digress. I'm on a tangent. My point is mods, right? But Counter-Strike and Global Offensive / Counter-Strike 2 at this point, these are not about mods so much because of the fact that the official game, if you have any modded files, Valve Anti-Cheat and whatever anti-cheat they're using now would not let you connect to an online server because they were really strong on making sure that cheating was curbed as much as possible. This is where phishing attempts and other account security issues come in, where people try very, very hard to steal your account information because of what takes place with online trading. So any games that are very popular with online trading, and this is why League of Legends is on here, as well as Rocket League is on some of these lists as well, because of what was online trading. So we all know, even though they're supposed to be traded back and forth for digital, online, whatever only, people that had ultra rare drops, or in Counter-Strike's case, skins, ultra rare skins, held real monetary value in real life. People would try very, very hard to break in and steal these accounts on the hopes that maybe you had something that was worth them to steal. Or they would steal these accounts just to be able to use them to perform other banned acts, if you will, so that they don't get their own accounts banned. So they get your account banned while doing other phishing attempts, either through chat or whatever. That's not just Call of Duty, but that's a lot of other games as well. An example is where I live, it's probably everywhere right now, there's like a whole rash of mail theft happening all the time. Like mailboxes are getting broken into nonstop. And every time I see this on like the Nextdoor app or whatever, and people are like, our mail was stolen, did anyone get the license plate? It's like, it doesn't matter, that's a stolen car. The car was stolen to perform the illegal action, and then they ditched the car somewhere. So the same thing happens with these accounts. They'll steal the accounts, use them to do things to try and make profit for them or opportunity for them, and then the account gets banned because it eventually gets caught. You're stuck holding the bag because of the fact that your account's gone. And most of these companies, once something has been performed that's like considered a perm ban, they won't unban just because you say my account was stolen. They'll look at you and say that was on you to protect your account, and if you didn't, that's too bad. World of Warcraft down here at number 9 falls under that same category. Now, one of the ways that Blizzard's kind of counteracted that as much as possible is gold farming was the number one reason why people would have their accounts stolen for World of Warcraft. These gold farming companies, if you will, that existed all over the world would steal accounts and fish for these accounts and whatnot. All they needed was your email, and then there were other ways for them to brute force into your account, even if you had an authenticator attached. But what they would do is then go into like Stormwind or Orgrimmar or whatever, and they would just spam chat. Gold, 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 go to this website, go to this website, go to this website. And that's all they did with your account, was they would spam it. Take all your things that they could possibly trade, use it for any sort of value, strip your character naked pretty much. Use this naked character sitting in the middle of the city just shouting in the red font that was basically the entire zone wide, go to this website for best prices on gold, and then it would get banned, and then that's it. Your account's gone. And I guarantee you Blizzard pretty much never gave any of those accounts back, ever. I knew of people that had their accounts phished, stolen, hacked, whatever, because of maybe injected keyloggers or malware or whatever, and then getting their accounts banned. Blizzard never gave a single one of those back, no matter how well you could prove the account was stolen. Because again, Blizzard says it's on you to protect your account. So that's something important to be mindful of. And I bring that up because if you've got kids that are playing online and they're chatting with people in chat, you never know who's on the other side. And it's just a general rule of thumb, know who minors are talking to, or even adults. Adults are guilty of this too. Know who you're talking to on the other end. Because what they'll do sometimes and be like, oh, hey, can I get your Battle.net ID, or can I get your email or whatever, and we can keep chatting. And they'll slowly have these very smart ways of getting some of your personal information from you, to the very least to figure out whether or not that's the email or the account that's registered to that email. And then they'll start brute force of trying to hack into those accounts. I'm sure thousands of you right now have gotten random emails from Instagram saying, here's the reset link for your password, or your Facebook, or Twitter, or game accounts. Because what they'll often do is not try and break into the game, because all of these games are part of launchers. They'll try and break into the launchers to get access to all of your games. Origin was a huge one. Origin was like constantly under attack. And I've had my Origin account, actually, I hardly ever played any Origin games. And then one day I couldn't log into my game. I couldn't log into Battlefield, I think it was 4 at the time. And it was very odd. And then I called up Origin and I had to show them a copy of my driver's license and all that stuff. And then they told me, okay, well, the most recent logins were in Russia. And I'm like, this is weird. I thought, what were they doing with the account? They were legitimately playing the games. They were playing the freaking games. They weren't even trying to steal the information. They were just playing my games. That irritated me more than anything. Because although I got my account back, I got it back with whatever progress they did or didn't or undid. So that was actually some of the most annoying part of that. But that's why account phishing is also a very something you'll see on here, very common. Fortnite, yeah, any game that's incredibly popular is going to also be incredibly lucrative for people to try and attack. Now, again, what does Fortnite have in common with some of these other ones that have attacks? Items that you buy with real money and items that you can trade with other people for real money, even though it's not officially supported by the licensing or the branding. People will say, hey, we want to trade. They'll be like, oh, I've got a Deadpool 3 skin or whatever, like Deadpool or Deadpool 2 or whatever. The Deadpool skin was incredibly popular. And people would take that and say, okay, PayPal me XYZ money and then I'll trade with you. And although it's an extremely stupid thing to do, because more than likely you'll probably never get the skin you were promised and you're out your money, people did that. So scams take place that way as well. Diablo 2 Resurrected, that's really weird because, we're in Diablo 4 now by the time even this article, not by the time this article was written, but at the time this article was written, Diablo 3 was out and Diablo 4 was very much on the way and everyone knew it was coming. So that's weird. Valorant, again, very same thing. These publishers and these studios have learned, how do we make more money on the game? Because once you buy the game, that's it. It's a one-time purchase. If they happen to have a battle pass or they happen to have a season pass or something, you might get some money from that, but most people are not a lot of people are not interested in battle passes and stuff. Especially when all it tends to get you these days is maybe a few extra skins or a few extra guns or whatever, maybe an extra hero. For most people, it's not enough to incentivize them to spend as much as the game costs on a pass annually. Right? Or whatever the subscription setup is. But what they did learn is, hey, if we have a storefront for 99 cents or $1.99 or whatever, you can get this skin or that skin or this color pack or whatever. They learned that was so much more lucrative. They were making millions of dollars above the cost of the game, which is a brilliant business model. But at the same time, you're dealing now with real money taking transactions. So just like in Warcraft coming out with the WoW token, which you can basically buy for $14.99, which is like a month's subscription. And then you can sell that on the auction house for whatever the going rate for gold is, which tends to go anywhere between like 145,000 gold to 250,000 gold, depending on your server's economy. Real money's taking place. So what do you also get access to if you can get access to that account is potentially that financial information. Now, oftentimes there's many layers of security to protect the financial information independent of protecting the account. But again, it's all a target. And all it takes is people who use the same password everywhere to just become a target. Most of the time, if you save your payment information on a game, They'll do like a text verification or something to verify it's you if you're trying to do a purchase. They'll always star out everything except like maybe the last 2 digits of the number, and you've got to put in the expiration date and all that stuff. It saves the key information, but you've got to fill in the pertinent information for the transaction to go through. If you're worried about that, this is not an ad. It's a service that I actually believe, and I did an ad for this in the past, so full transparency there. But it's a service I think is very smart for stuff like this, especially if you have kids on here. Like Roblox is a huge one where there's lots of microtransactions and stuff. And that's just from like personal safety aside of games where kids are online. That's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother video with tons of ethics that it's gonna be impossible to have this conversation online. We're talking about account security and stuff in this video. Privacy.com. I know it sounds like an ad, but it's an amazing service where you can actually create digital debit cards that work on these websites like a normal transaction. But if anything was to happen, you can shut that down and you immediately sever any connection to your bank. And your bank is independent from that. My kids' accounts actually set up, I do use privacy.com. I do have a couple of bank account numbers that were set up to work with transactions in these games that I can see a separate transaction list. It also tells me if it was ever denied for any reason or what was attempted, where it was attempted. And if I feel like anything weird has gone on with that, then I can go in and just change that card information, update it on the site, and then we're up and running again. My bank is separate from any of that. That's ultimately the goal with like a lot of the malware and the hacking and stuff that takes place in games. They don't care about your game. They don't care about your account. They're crimes of opportunity when they exist. The other cool thing about that too was, and I know this sounds like an ad, I swear to God it's not. It's just something I thought was really neat, which is why we did the ad years ago. You can also put a spending limit on each one of those digital cards. So what ends up happening is, let's say you put a $100 limit. And that's like a monthly limit. It would reset every month or whatever. It's perfect for kids' allowances too, by the way, for parents out there. But if they did get access to that somehow, they have your authorization code and 3-digit code and all that crap. If they were to try and spend on it, they would get to whatever that max limit is, and then that's it. And you would also get the notifications that the limit was hit and all that, and you could look at that and be like, what the hell? And you can dispute it like anything else, and then you can just wipe the card and make a new one. We all know how hard it is when you have to reset an ATM card with a physical card with a bank and reset all your auto payments and stuff. So it's good for bills and all that stuff anyway. The cool thing is if you were to ever have to change your bank information for whatever reason, the card information could stay the same, you just relink it to a different bank. So free ad over at this point. I'm not getting anything for this, it's just a service I thought was cool. I think it's important to note. But anyway, as the rest of this article says, it's a survey of over 5,000 gamers worldwide. That's not a lot of a sampling, but it is still there. Norton's research found that for over 2 in 5 gamers, 2/5, right? Okay, 46% have experienced an attack on their gaming account. So that's where you get the emails that are like, your password reset, password reset, password reset. In theft, so including malicious software on their device. So 20% have the actual malware, malicious files like I talked about, probably from mod repositories. The theft of an in-game digital currency, characters, or other items, 12%, or seeing unauthorized access to a gaming account, 12%. One thing I also want to point out with World of Warcraft was the fact that not only is it about trying to steal the Blizzard account for gold sales and stuff, it also becomes an opportunity for malware because most people run mods on Warcraft, like all sorts of mods, banking mods, map mods, quest mods, deadly boss mods, right? Anyone that raids and stuff. All of those now get pretty much one touch installed from a repository / side program called Curse Client or Curse. So there's an opportunity there if you were to install a mod that you don't recognize from a publisher that's just got no real feedback or anything. You never know what you're installing. So always make sure that you're looking at ones that have big feedback numbers. Like Deadly Boss Mods has like tens of millions of downloads. So that becomes a little bit more legitimate. But as much as Curse is supposed to really try and vet these for viruses and stuff, it's still ultimately on you to know where you're downloading the stuff from. It's like someone going to Mega and being like, I got a virus, I don't know how I got that. But anyway, this gets even worse for high-profile hardcore gamers. 2 in 3, or 66%, have reported being under fire from ne'er-do-wells trying to steal their wares. Hast thou protected thou account? I don't know. Norton also found that 3 in 4 American gamers, 76%, have lost money due to hacks, and the average amount stolen by criminals was $744. Don't know how they came up with that number. Again, this article was really, and it links I turned off all the ads, as you can see, but it links back to Norton, so it was intended to scare you into getting Norton. But fuck Norton. The actual content we're talking about right here is real, okay? Anyway, I hope this has given you some food for thought and some things to think about when it comes to gaming, not only for your own system, but for your kids. I think most adults are smart enough to not fall for any of this crap or be smart about it. It's when kids get online and just start clicking whatever the hell, you never know what's going to happen. So it might also be smart to keep your kids on maybe a separate subnet and stuff on your own internet so that they can't connect to other systems. That way it can't travel through your local area network to other machines and infect there. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. What's your best tip to keep yourself and your gaming PC safe from potential malware attacks and viruses and account theft opportunities when it comes to online games? And what game do you think is the number one never, ever, ever install it because it's just going to lead to problems? Well, that should be a fun conversation down below.